Welcome to PropTech Pulse, the podcast that takes the pulse of prop technology in multifamily. I'm your host, Shelley Robinson, and each week we'll be diving deep into innovations, challenges, and the future of work in property technology and multifamily. From AI-driven property management to blockchain and real estate, we're here to explore how technology is reshaping the way we live, work, and invest in multifamily communities. Whether you're a property manager, a tech entrepreneur, an executive, or even simply curious about the future of living spaces, PropTech Pulse is your weekly dose of insights and inspiration. So let's sync our rhythms and get on with the show. It's time to take the pulse. Welcome to PropTech Pulse. Today I have Steve Higginbotham with me. Steve, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Shelley. Thanks for having me on.
I'm so glad you and I met via LinkedIn and then have had a couple conversations and that you've agreed to come on to the show and kind of talk about your area of expertise and what you've been building. And, some of our listeners, we're going to actually ask them to stay till the end because I know you have a special offer to talk about. But to kind of kick us off, what's your founder's story and journey? What's your why? Kind of tell our listeners what's gotten you to this point today with what you're building.
Sure. Absolutely. I believe I've been an entrepreneur basically since birth. Looking back at my childhood, I remember my first business was actually a rock stand. We were selling rocks. I was maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6. Didn't sell any rocks that day. But looking back, there's definitely some lessons there about product market fit that I just didn't have figured out way back then. And that as I've gone over the course of my career, I've been in entrepreneurial type roles for the duration. Leading up until about 2015, I started an e-commerce agency with my father and a few of his peers. And that was really exciting for me because I got to kind of touch all aspects of the business, including digital media, consumer journey, all the way to warehouse, fulfillment operations. So that is where I really cut my chops and kind of earned a lot of lessons, sometimes the hard way, sometimes the easy way.
Yeah.
Growing that business from zero to it's around 100 million today. So I really did get to ride with that scale. And then through that, so that's where I come from, really a strong e-commerce background, a digital journey background, a consumer journey, a consumer purchasing journey background.
Yeah.
And then through that, in 2020, I had a really good friend of mine named Nick, who've been friends for years. He came to me with this idea to enter the real estate and the prop tech space, an area where I knew not too much about it, but he brought me in and we started just at the end of 2019, right before COVID. We started the Preview 3D. Little did we know that COVID would happen very soon. Digital leasing would become a bigger topic. Sight unseen leasing would become a much bigger topic. So I didn't have the entrepreneurial foresight at that time, but it did work out nicely because we were building this business just as the industry had a really strong need for it. And then from there, I didn't have a why. So to answer your question, did I have a why? I didn't really have a why. I just saw a really interesting business that needed some disruption and a friend of mine who believed in me and had seen what I'd done in my previous roles. And so we jumped in and we got started right away. The why for me, and it continues to be the why for me 6 years later, is there is just a huge disparity in really prices and value of what we're offering. When I first came into the industry, the average price for a virtual tour was about 30% more than what it is today. The average price for a virtual tour subscription was about 45%. And so when I took a look at this, I saw a huge opportunity to provide a ton of value to developers, property managers, basically because what they were paying for was not the best in class. I knew we could do better on the content side. I knew we could do better on the tech side, and I knew we could offer it at a much, much lower price. So now you don't need $1 billion marketing budget to work with us. And so that was kind of the why. It was like, let's serve everyone. I really saw the need in the industry.
Yeah.
And yeah, we jumped in and, I actually didn't jump in full fledged for the first few years. I still had to wrap up my activities over at the e-commerce company and see that through. So the Preview 3D was largely a side project for me with the help of Nick, a few other great people. I brought my brother-in-law, my brother involved. It's definitely a family affair in the early days. And then about 18 months ago, I jumped full-fledged into real estate, prop tech, and the Preview 3D. So I'm still very much an industry newbie, newcomer.
Yeah.
I'm learning from legends like you. I keep calling you a legend and you keep telling me to stop calling you that, but I'm still a newbie. So really full-fledged, all my attention. It's been about 18 months in the prop tech and real estate. And, thankfully Preview 3D was able to continue to grow without my full attention.
Yeah.
And now all eyes are on it. And I really want to take this company to the moon and really provide tons of value, top quality content, incredible customer service, and a truly bespoke solution for our clients. Because our clients come to us with a variety of different needs, and everyone's needs are unique at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then we're in a really unique position where we can apply tech based on those clients' needs. If they need it, we facilitate it. And if they don't need it, we actually recommend and consult that they go a different direction. So it's been fun. And I think my why really is just serving our clients and helping them lease up faster and be more successful.
Important topics right now too. And I think we've got a lot to talk about and unpack from what you just shared, especially on the customer service side. And welcome to the prop tech and real estate industry. It's a
Thank you.
wonderful industry, and it's a big industry, but yet a small industry as well. I
Keep
do have
finding that. Yeah.
I
Go
do have
ahead.
a follow-up question on the rock stand. Did you
Sure.
pivot from rocks to lemonade, or what was the pivot from there?
Absolutely. Yes. Of course. We did do some rocks. I almost want to say there was some lemonade being sold at the same time as the rocks. I'm not really sure how those products kind of.
One was an upsell from the other,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Exactly.
Those early days of entrepreneurship and business acumen, and then people believing in you, kind of, I think, resonates with a lot of founders that watch this podcast. And I do hear it theme over and over again of having people that believe in you and in your corner. It makes all of the difference. This first year on my own, without people believing in me, I never would have done it ever.
Yeah. It's so essential. At the end of the day, I'm a humanist.
Yeah.
I'm all about that people to people connection, talking with people. I think that's really served me well in my career. I might not present as the smartest expert, and I don't try to be the smartest person in the room or have the biggest ego in the room. But I think I really do try to lead with empathy and not listening. I have big ears that are always listening, and I'm really a sponge and a facilitator versus any kind of prop tech expert.
Well, like customer success now, and especially in prop tech, there's a theme in the industry that I hear over and over again in my conversations about bad customer service. And I think that's a two-sided coin in the industry too, because there's the prop tech providers and the customer service they are or aren't providing, key differentiator. And then there's the real estate operational side of sales and leasing and the customer service that's even lacking there. So I think you and I could have a lot to talk about even in the service realm. What do you think is standing out today in prop tech and in leasing and real estate as that customer service differentiation? Do you think that there's a price tag with that or a value to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as AI is growing and growing and growing, your clients and the people you work with, they have less tolerance for time wasters and duplicate activities. And you got me going over here to fill out a form, but now you have me over here to send a file and all those things. Like the tolerance for that is definitely going down. And I think in multifamily, the pressure can often be very high. Pressure is very, very high. The people and the prospects are right there in your face. So in our world, if we created a virtual tour of a pool and that pool does not look how it looks, there's a leasing agent who's going to hear about that on day one.
True.
We're really, right? So we're really focusing on photorealism to meet that expectation there. But just for our clients, I find the bar is being raised for as far as less tolerance for BS, so to speak. You have to move fast. And just in comparison to my previous world in e-commerce, I think those brands, I work for big brands, Nestle and Kraft Heinz and some big players out there. I think the developers and the property managers in multifamily are just so much more detail oriented than I ever found in CPG. So that's been a huge adjustment for me, is realizing that every detail matters. To my point about the pool, to my point about, the floor plans that we create and how we're presenting that space, to all the transparency things that are happening in the multifamily industry about rents and hidden fees. It's every detail matters in multifamily. So for a new PropTech founder, and there's a lot of people, new companies coming into our space now, I call it our space.
Yeah.
Over 40,000 PropTech companies are being created. And I think if they don't understand how much attention to detail is needed, I don't know if they'll succeed. And then coming into these spaces as a tech company, like your Amazons and your Googles, where it's faceless and there's no one to talk to and you're talking to a chatbot. I don't know how successful that's going to be for a tech company in multifamily, because that person to person connection is still very much needed. And so tech must come with a big support team to make sure it's running correctly, it's implemented correctly, and then clients' demands are being met extremely timely.
You better be able to get to someone real and high
Yeah.
value service instantly if the bot is holding someone up, and it needs
Yep.
to be quick and seamless or people drop out. That is for sure. And, on the realism side too, I had a client who they were measuring property reputation scores, and properties that had a better reputation score, and sometimes only by like half a point, like 4 stars on the property's 4.5. It was a 5% difference in NOI, more property value. And so what you're saying, having good service and actually being real about what it looks like, what it feels like, what that service delivery and that reputation feels like, if you're eroding that in any way, shape, or form, that erodes that property reputation quickly.
Well,
And that turns into real money.
yeah, that's real. That's real and very impactful. And I
Yeah.
think we can't, as multifamily pros, we can't just lean wholly on the technology.
No.
We have to remember to connect with the people and use that technology to facilitate a seamless experience, but still be there.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, on that note, in the virtual touring world, I was working in PropTech for a large organization during COVID, and we had groups that we would all meet on like, how do we facilitate this kind of virtual environment? And virtual touring, I think, is still not fully adopted in the industry. I think it's adopted, but not fully adopted. But what are you seeing in kind of the virtual touring realm with your clients as kind of the current environment and best practices of what's going on for virtual touring? How's that going for you?
Yeah, great question. I think we've definitely seen a huge adoption and adaptation over the last 5 years. It's been a ton of big companies coming around. They've been resistant to it, and they're suddenly, kind of understanding that they need some type of virtual tour solution to cater to the younger demographic, to cater to some of those of us who do just sit behind computers all day and we don't want to get out in the real world. Many of us have that in us. So I've seen a lot of people come around. I think the big disruption that needs to happen in virtual tours, and I'm pitching this to anyone who will listen, and some clients are taking me up on it and some aren't. It's really making that virtual tour experience not so boring. We've put out boring virtual tours. You look at Matterport, sometimes it's just boring, right? We're just showcasing the space and the space only.
Yeah.
Me coming from my Amazon and e-commerce background, that's a beautiful product detail page. When they're walking around that pool, that is a beautiful, incredible attempt to take, or opportunity to take that engaged viewer and educate them about the eco-friendliness of the pool, the surrounding area, the pool hours.
Yeah.
Even the pool rules, right? Everything about that. Pool rules can matter to people. Sometimes people don't want a loud, crazy pool. So if they know that the pool closes at 9,
totally,
right?
Yeah.
It's virtual tours are a little bit boring right now. And I think that's probably in my little neck of the woods. That's where I see some big disruption and some change happening. And I think people who adapt to that are going to have much better conversion metrics and data, because that's a blank slate to educate your consumer about anything. And we're kind of just showing the architecture and we're showing the amenity, but we're not really talking about what that amenity means to that person. We're not taking that opportunity to build a brand, build a connection. So that's my big take when it comes to virtual tours. There's so many great providers out there. They're great products. They function well. The back end data is great and ever evolving, which is amazing. But I think we're missing what's literally right in front of our face is a consumer looking at our property and kind of just being too quiet, right?
You've got their attention, so it's almost like you've got the billboard, but the billboard's half empty. So
Exactly.
Like the features and the benefits come to mind, and you're naturally overcoming objections in that space.
Exactly.
And do you find with your clients that people are predominantly leasing through virtual touring, or are they actually pre-leasing and then still going out in person? What do you see?
It's definitely a mix of both. I saw a stat earlier. It said 24% of leases are sight unseen.
Wow, that's a lot.
I don't know. I want to verify that data. I don't want to send that out to your old network here, but let's verify that data. But that tells me, and it's that younger generation. It's that Gen Z who don't, they're just used to the internet. They're used to purchasing online. They
Or,
necessarily they don't want to go out and see a leasing agent or walk around and talk to that person. There's a lot of social anxiety out there too, which that's a whole different topic. And I hate to hear that. Yeah. And I think it definitely is a precursor to get someone invested in your community, to give you their email, to fill out a form. If you're just looking at a few pictures, it's not as enticing as actually getting to walk around, sit in that fitness center, sit by the pool, get into those units, and then the conversion can just easily come from there now that they're invested and they're engaged.
yeah. It is a fully virtual leasing experience. It better represent what their living is going to be like. And if that continues to grow, what you're saying about everything matching up and into reality is going to even be more and more important, because if you move in and you're there on moving day and you're not happy, that's a long 12 months of that person being unhappy in that apartment.
Exactly. And I think the whole industry is moving towards transparency. And not to say that it wasn't transparent, but it's really shining a even brighter light on everything and not allowing any type of scammy type of things to happen out there. Duping of the consumer is just completely unacceptable. And with the advent of the internet, now you're going to hear about it. Like you said about the reputation score, that's a really dangerous thing to do, is to present your property as one way and not deliver it. That would be a very scary thing for me to do as a property manager, and your reputation score is going to erode. And like you said, your NOI is going to suffer as a result.
Very quickly. On your demographics, you were saying, younger demographics, Gen Z, millennials renting sight unseen. What are you seeing in the senior market? How is virtual touring in that category of renters? Because the senior market's like hot right now in the country.
Yeah, as I was thinking about coming on your show today and what we talk about, a lot of senior thoughts were popping into my head. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to bring that to Shelly. We're going to try to focus on multifamily. But I think senior it's extremely exciting. There is a lot of movement happening. For us, much of what we do is in that pre-construction window. Before dirt has even been broken and the shovel's still not even used yet, we come in and we create an extremely realistic virtual tour that looks 98% real, sometimes 100. We create animated sales videos, press play to go on an experience. That's extremely beneficial for senior living and active adult, because those leasing and pre-sale windows are just so long. That decision is just being made over the course of 12 to 18 months versus in multifamily, a much shorter window. And a lot of senior and active adult developments, they're taking a bit of that multifamily marketing playbook and putting it towards those developments and those projects, and those people with that foresight are having great success, because by the time that building's ready to open, they have a huge list of interested people. They have a huge list of people who have already signed on to live there. So yeah, I really think those two industries go hand in hand. I think multifamily can steal a little bit of the active adult community building playbook.
Yeah.
And senior living could take a little bit of that multifamily marketing playbook.
That's so true. And I also think of another use case for seniors. Many times they're trying to share what they're looking at with their family members, whether it's a sister, or a brother, or a daughter, or a son. And sometimes those decisions are not made in an individual vacuum at that point. And so I can see a virtual tour being really meaningful in that decision-making process, especially if people are working.
Yeah, remote adult children making those decisions. Yeah. Very similar in student living when you have people, these students are moving across the country to go to college. Same thing. A lot of those decisions are made virtually versus in person. And I do think they go hand in hand. I think you really want to see it virtually before you commit to getting on that airplane and going there, driving that 2 hours, whatever that is, whatever that barrier is. That virtual tour is kind of the first line of defense, your first opportunity to market and persuade, and then get them in person and really seal the deal that way.
Yeah, I can also think of, there's a big trend in what's called value add acquisitions going on in multifamily, where like I have a client that's all they do is they buy portfolios to remodel them and renovate them. Do you work in that kind of capacity of like what will be? Here's where we are today, and what will be is coming next to kind of sell the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the core benefit of what we do, is we can create anything. There's literally nothing you can say or ask or request that we can't create. So we have so much flexibility with our work and our content and our tech that sure, a redevelopment is right in our wheelhouse because that's what we're doing. We're so used to creating it from the ground up. So all we have to do in that case is look at the plans, understand your vision, and kind of combine those two, take how that building currently looks, how you expect it to look, and give it to our trained artists who can then make that real and make that something that you can actually walk around, view, send to investors, send to stakeholders, all that. So yeah, we're riding that trend,
Yeah,
the
you could
redevelopment
even
trend as much as we can.
residents that are there that you want to stay and have an upgrade experience while you're working on it. I can think of so many use cases. It's really a exciting time to make it look real and be real.
Absolutely.
Are you seeing any changes in kind of how leasing specialists and real estate agents are kind of working with virtual tours at all with their service models?
I'm seeing definitely an elevated focus on what we do. I think your property manager in the past, they have just so many different things that they're handling and dealing with. That's for them to get involved into our work and content. It just never really became a priority. But what I'm seeing is with the advent of all these new technologies and seamless operations, those property managers, their bandwidth is opening up a little bit. And now that person who's always wanted to have an influence on marketing or wanted to have an influence on the website, but was too busy to do it. Now, all of a sudden they have the time, energy, bandwidth to give that opinion because they really know their community much better than say a suit 100 miles away. So I really feel like it's a bandwidth issue with the property managers. And now that they're freed up a little bit more, I know they're still busy and there's a lot going on, but they're taking a more vested interest in it. And I think they also are seeing that cause and effect that if this is a representation of our community, so if it doesn't look great online, it's going to make my job a lot harder throughout the process to communicate with those clients or with those prospects and manage expectations, right? So yeah, I'm definitely seeing an adaptation there on that level.
So good to hear that times like there's a heavy focus right now on freeing up time with solving problems with packages, right? That was a huge issue when I left operations a decade ago. I'm spending 25% of my time on packages. And so like, how do you free that up? And continue to hear that AI and automation is starting to free up time for high value service, including virtual touring to free that time up. Used to spend time on the phone trying to describe the property to people, freeing that time up where you're like, hey, I can show you is of high value so that you can deliver that service.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit on the packages. I love some of the companies out there and what they're doing to streamline that. With my background in e-commerce, I'm passionate about that. And I just see, wow, it's just, they're cutting so much time. I want to plug a few people, but I'll let you, this is your podcast, so I don't want to plug. But there's some great companies out there that are just solving a huge, massive problem. I couldn't imagine being a property manager and dealing with that many packages coming in and out. And you talk about student living a little, the amount of packages that show up on week one, on move-in week. I mean, it's incredible. You need to rent a U-Haul almost to store them all. So that's one of, What'd you say?
It makes me want to go hide.
Yeah.
Dealing with that, the whole student housing model is super tough. Feast and famine type business there. Well, I don't think you sound like a newbie at all, Steve. I think you're getting ingrained very quickly. And
Thank you.
You wanted to make an offer at the end of the podcast. I thought it'd be a great time for you to share that now.
Absolutely. We're offering only for Shelly's podcast listeners. You have to prove you watched the entirety of the video. There will be a test on what we talked about here today. 10% off the first project. No promo code. DM me on LinkedIn or email, and we'll make that happen. We take a very consultative approach to each project. So we love to meet with you, discuss your objectives, understand what needs to happen there, and apply the best tech. We don't push people into pieces of technology that they don't need. I'm not big on selling people things they don't need. Let's talk about your goals. How do we get there as efficiently and as cost effective as possible? And that's really what the Preview 3D is all about. That's really what we built it for. So I would love if any of your listeners would reach out. It'd be great to meet you and talk. And of course, a special Shelly discount, 10%.
I love it. And I thought maybe you'd throw in some rocks and lemonade in there too.
If you want some landscape rocks, I'll sell them to you. But the price has gone up from $19.95.
I used to go door to door trying to sell my singing, which did not work.
What?
Yeah, there are people.
It's incredible.
It
didn't go well?
You know?
It didn't go well. You would think you'd get some tip revenue at least.
I think there was some empathy and some patience even. Well, thank you so much for your time, Steve.
Thank
And
you.
we'll put all of your business links and your profile links in there on LinkedIn as well when the episode goes live. And I look forward to revisiting this conversation with you in the next year or two and talking about your business growth and evolution and kind of what you're seeing as you continue to get ingrained in the industry.
Thank you so much, Shelley. Appreciate you. Thanks for the invite. It means the world to me.
All right. Okay.
And that wraps up another episode of PropTech Pulse. I hope this conversation has given you valuable insights and perhaps even sparked some ideas for your own PropTech journey. Remember, the future of multifamily is being written right now with every technological advance and innovative solution. So stay curious, stay connected, and keep your finger on the pulse of PropTech. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to PropTech Pulse on your favorite podcast platform and share this along with your colleagues. You can also find us on social media for bite-sized insights and updates. I'm Shelley Robinson, and until next time, let's keep innovating, disrupting, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in PropTech and multifamily. Let's build it together.